So guys, Tim Pool had Vaush on his podcast, and to be honest, I don't know much about Vaush. I've heard of him. I've heard of him in the political sphere, but I've never really listened to any of his content. So I don't know the guy from a bar of soap. But people were arguing that giving Vaush a platform was a bad idea because it spreads bad notions, blah, blah, blah. It's the same bullshit excuse that we hear from the left. Giving Alex Jones is a bad idea because of the blah, 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 right? No, I disagree with that. I think at the end of the day, if someone has something good to say, you shouldn't be afraid of them to say it. If someone has something stupid to say, you still shouldn't be afraid of them to say it. And that last point is very much summed up here with Vaush. Now, this clip goes for about half an hour. It's going to be a long video. Get a cup of coffee, hit pause, let's jump into it. Because I want to break down this clip and I want to show you why I think it was a good idea to have Vaush on there. And Vaush, to me, he came across as unprepared, uneducated, and not knowing some basic facts.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Hey, my man, rocking.
We're going long tonight. I'm
super long. Wow.
Wait, what? Wait, what time is it?
It's 10.
10.
What? Really?
Yeah.
We've been talking for 2 hours.
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay, I'll take a sip. You got to stay hydrated, people.
Take a sip, guys.
I don't like any of the political establishment. I think there's very few people on either side that I like and think are good people, and there's slightly more Republicans than Democrats. But you know, I think it's because the majority of both parties are people who, like I said, didn't have to do anything. Gerrymandering, heavy guaranteed districts, you end up with Republican areas that are always going to be Republican. So the Republicans, they don't got to do anything. They'll be like, hey, vote for me. Or don't. Haha, who cares? The Democrat says the same thing. Mm-hmm. Nancy Pelosi held up a glass of water and she said, in my district or AOC's, you put a D on this glass of water, it's going to get elected. That's a problem. That's a serious problem.
I disavow Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, as you should.
I want it to be
so I like the idea of ranked choice voting. Because to me, it would get rid of... well, actually, I'm not entirely convinced it would get rid of Nancy Pelosi.
Term limits would. How do you feel about term limits?
I haven't seen any evidence that they lead to a more democratic government. I'm 50-50. I could go either way. Though I have to say, I really do think the only reason that Nancy Pelosi is still in there right now is because of fear. Democrats are terrified of Trump. I think they have good reason to be. But you have somebody, Shahid Buttar, who's running against Nancy Pelosi to try and unseat her in her district.
Republican?
No, a Democrat, a progressive though, like in line with
the primary
Bernie AOC.
Passed already.
Yeah, no, it did, and that's the thing. And I think that like fundamentally, the Democratic Party is.
So she still won, right, Vaush? Just saying.
Ready to move on to a different set of ideas, a more true fulfillment, maybe, of what it could mean for its citizens.
I don't think the Democratic Party is as much as these far leftists. And I'm presuming that's what Vaush is here because he calls himself a social democrat later. As much as these people want to make out that these social democrat ideas are the best and the be-all and the end-all of the civilization, I don't think a lot of people want these ideas. I think you have a very vocal minority that have actually put themselves into an echo chamber and are bouncing ideas off each other and basically circle jerking each other after these ideas, thinking they're going to be the best thing since sliced bread. But to me, the vast majority of people don't want them.
And the party, the citizenry, the actual elected officials, though, have every trick in the book that they can pull out to maintain themselves in power for as long as is humanly possible.
And
that I would agree with. The Nancy Pelosi, the Joe Bidens, the establishment, the crony establishment, right? Let's face it, Joe Biden is crony establishment. He's taken more money from Wall Street than Trump ever has. But anyway, what I was going to say, well, Trump has at least in this campaign. But what I was going to say was at the end of the day, these guys hold on to their power. I don't think the left is ready for this far left populists that Vaush and everybody thinks they are.
This is my argument for why Trump needs to win.
Oh, no.
Joe Biden is a 47-year establishment crony who wants control of the executive branch to seal the doors and never allow any challenge ever again. They are upset that they lost in 2016. They weren't supposed to. They did everything to crush Bernie Sanders. And Donald Trump is the insurgent who upended the Republican Party, and they hated his guts too. Now they're beholden.
I would totally agree with Tim on that. I think that if Joe Biden wins, you are going to see the left seal up every nook and cranny to make sure the populists never, ever win again. And that includes packing courts, changing laws, doing whatever and whatever they can to at least stop it from their own party, if not from both parties.
To him, here's my opinion, and I asked for yours in afterward. If Joe Biden gets in, he's locking the doors. They're going to shore up the fences. They're going to install their bureaucrats. They're going to make sure that you guys don't get a foot in the door ever. You got too close with Bernie Sanders. Trump. See, here's the thing. Bernie Sanders, left-wing populist. Donald Trump, right-wing populist. The elites did not like either of them. The establishment Republicans hate Trump, and that's exemplified by the Lincoln Project and the cronies who are now just espousing whatever the Democrats want them to say. If Joe Biden wins, they get back in the ivory tower, they bolt the doors shut, and they laugh at both populist wings. Trump.
Now, my argument to that was also is not only is it just Bernie Sanders, because I think Bernie Sanders flip-flops between whatever he can do to get power. Tulsi Gabbard is a prime example of someone that is a left-wing populist. I would use her more as an example than Bernie Sanders. Look how Tulsi Gabbard was handled with the debates. They literally changed the rules in order to stop Tulsi Gabbard from coming onto that stage. They were so petrified of Tulsi Gabbard, they wouldn't even let her on the stage to debate. Now, you reckon Joe Biden? Has Joe Biden reached out to Tulsi Gabbard and offered her a job on his party? Has Joe Biden adopted any of Tulsi Gabbard's policies?
Was a bull brought to the gates who stormed in, trashed everything, and the Democrats are freaking out, but still in there. Bernie Sanders was very polite. Hello, let me in, please. I'll agree with you. I'll stop saying the millionaires. If Joe Biden wins, I believe there will never be another populist, be it left, right, or whatever. I think if Trump wins, Joe Biden was the best they could muster. They are done. If Joe Biden gets in and Kamala Harris then ends up being that person in charge, there will never be a Bernie Sanders. There will never be a leftist populist. But if Trump gets in and the establishment withers and dies over the next 4 years because Trump's going nuts, he's going to fire everybody. He's stripping all these government protections from these employees. He said he's going to fire the head of the CIA.
To put his own cronies in, yeah.
But is he going to be able to do that? And
if he fires them, somebody has to go there.
But that's still an argument beyond what he is doing. So maybe that's an issue. But if Donald Trump gets rid of the bureaucrats and he strips the establishment of its power, then I believe in 2024, you're going to see something new and wild, whatever it is. I don't think it's going to be Trump 12 years. I think Joe Biden is the best they could muster up to try and save the crony establishment. And the Republicans like Rick Wilson and the other Lincoln Project people joined forces with them, showing us who they really are. Joe Biden is getting more money from Wall Street than Trump is. He gets more money from the wealthy than Trump does. He is the establishment billionaire candidate who is being protected by big tech and billionaires who are censoring stories that might hurt him.
Okay.
Let Biden go.
Okay. So we've got a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah.
First,
Now, so at the end of the day, that was a very good speech from Tim, and I would vastly agree with the vast majority of it. Yes, I do think that Trump is a bull in a china shop. He's our bull. He's the one that we've brought into the china shop to say, we're going to tear this place apart. We're going to tear this place down brick by brick. And that's why Trump was elected. That's why Trump will most likely win re-election in November. I think at the end of the day, the Democrats are literally scared right now that Trump is winning. And from what I've seen, he actually has a really good shot at being re-elected in November. But regardless, at the end of the day, that's exactly what it was. It was Trump we're bringing in Trump to tear the place down. The fact that he's not taking all this money from Wall Street, the fact that big tech isn't protecting him, it's showing him to be anti-establishment. How do people sit there and go, he's establishment? He's literally pulling out of the Middle East. He's going through creating peace deals. What's your argument for him being establishment? What, because he fired a couple of Tomahawk missiles off, which, by the way, his base lost their shizzle over? What, that's your establishment? Oh, he spent money on the military. Yeah, to protect the country. The US needs a military, and no offense, I know a lot of vets. A lot of them were very disappointed with the subpar equipment that they were getting from under Obama and previously. The US needed this money for the military vets. You know, there was the antis going around back when Bush was running that, you know, they had to buy their own body armor. So I don't have a problem with the US spending money on their own industry, on their own military industrial complex. When it comes to protecting their own country, they have a lot of it they need to protect. My problem with the military industrial complex is when they start interfering in other countries and other territories to profit the military industrial complex. All right, so let's keep going.
First of all, I fail to see in any meaningful way how Trump is anti-establishment. He has consolidated an enormous amount of power into the federal government. He seems as if not more comfortable with executive orders than Obama ever did. He's up drone strikes. And what's more, he has fundamentally eroded the institutions which are meant to challenge the government. The media. Is the media bad? Absolutely. But the media still serves a very useful role in this country, as ineffectuously as they do.
How has Trump done that?
The media has constantly called Trump has constantly called the media the enemy of the people. He's threatened to...
If you have a organization that has gone through and will lie about you, will put out propaganda, will fail to cover stories that go against your opposition, that seemingly are very much partisan to one side. And don't get me wrong, Fox News is obviously partisan to the right, but the vast majority of other media industries are partisan to the left. How many of these corporations or these media outlets have covered Joe Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop? How many of them covered the Ukraine scandal for Joe Biden? Very few and far between have they ever spent much airtime talking about it. That's why he calls them enemy of the people. Not because they're constantly attacking him, but because they're partisan when it comes to it. The media is supposed to be a free press, supposed to be just reporting facts. But instead of doing that, they are now editors who just go through and pick which stories they want to run in order to give their campaign the best chance at winning.
Remove press badges from people who are mean to him at press conferences.
I know Obama did that to Fox News.
It's the degree to which this took place is not even comparable. These are two different...
You have one corporation in Fox News, and you have 15 in news on the left wing. Yeah, you're right. It's not comparable. Because you have one corporation that went through and removed it. And Vaush was like, you see the double stutter he had there, right? When he went through and Tim said this.
Trump has constantly called the media the enemy of the people. He's threatened to remove press badges from people who are mean to him at press conferences.
I know Obama did that to Fox News.
It's the degree to which this took place is...
But it still happened though, right, Vaush? The Fox News still lost their press badges and were called, the enemy of the people, whatever it may be. You had Obama still attacked the press, right? Just saying.
Not even comparable. These are two different worlds. And calling press the enemy of the people is like
because
fascism
there's more
101.
people doing
I
it now.
don't care about right-leaning people getting their populists in office. Right-leaning populism has a name. It's fascism. I don't want these people...
No, it's not. I'm sorry, Vaush, but you're a moron if you think that's the case. Fascism is where you use your ideas to suppress other people's ideologies. You literally have Black Lives Matter marching in the street right now. How are they suppressed by Trump? The only time they're literally rioting, they're burning cities to the ground. But Trump is authoritarian. Trump is a fascist. Really? Because I tell you what, in a fascist society, if you call the president a whole bunch of names on Twitter, you go missing. Try it in China. Try it in Hong Kong. Or not Hong Kong, but Singapore to a certain point. guess what? You go missing. That is fascist. That is authoritarianism.
It unquestionably is. I don't want these people in office. I don't care about
Can you define fascism?
Yeah, fascism is an ultra-nationalist, far-right form of government which relies on the assembly of the common will, the unification of a national narrative against enemies from both within, from without. It usually has to focus on things like machismo, or perhaps on the belief in a type of ethnic or racial supremacy.
So how would you define right-wing libertarians?
Right, I don't...
So let's actually look up... I can't spell, I know. Fascism. Right. So, obviously this is, like Wikipedia and stuff like that. Authoritarian national rights system of government and social organizations, right? Now, that's what they're claiming. But what's an actual definition of fascism? Merriam-Webster. I think they even changed their definition lately. Often capitalized a movement or regime such as a fascist that excels national and often race above the individual and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leadership. How is Trump a dictator? He's not. You literally have Black Lives Matter protesting, rioting, burning cities in the street. And you're claiming he's a dictator. Okay. Attorneys exercise strong, autocratic, or dictatorial control. Do we have that in the US right now? No, you don't. Therefore, not a fascist.
I don't think there is a such thing as a right-wing libertarian.
Well, how's that possible?
Because I have never met one. I keep talking to people who say they are, and then they stop being libertarian the moment it comes to literally any issue other than taxes and weed.
There was a dude who took his clothes off on the stage of the libertarian debate to argue about freedom, and they had a debate over whether or not you should be allowed to sell heroin to kids.
Yeah. Well, they are some amazing people. I will not deny it, but they aren't.
I'm yet to meet one. Here's an example of one. Well, yeah, there are some amazing people out there. So you do meet them. And at the end of the day, libertarian, when it comes to weed, what do you say? Weed or...
Right. I don't think there is a such thing as a right-wing libertarian.
Well, how's that possible?
Because I have never met one. I keep talking to people who say they are, and then they stop being libertarian the moment it comes to literally any issue other than taxes and weed.
There was a...
Pro-free speech? Anybody? Pro-gun? Like pro-Second Amendment? Pro-Constitution? Hell, I'm pro-abortion in certain circumstances. But this is the problem. Vaush is so far to the left. He's all out playing by himself. And then when he sits there and he goes, oh, no, these right-wing libertarians don't exist. Yeah, because your bell curve, I think I'm trying to think of the name, the Overton window. Your Overton window is so far skewed to the left that even Bernie Sanders is starting to look like a right wing. But,
Dude who took his clothes off on the stage of...
The means for populism to interfere with the government, because we have so much to unpack here. With regards to Trump, okay. Is Joe Biden a candidate that I feel proud of voting for? Of course not. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not even going to waste time defending that. When it comes to the means for populism to interfere with the government after Joe Biden wins, I am optimistic.
I don't think Joe Biden is going to win, Vaush.
He has managed to, that is to say, Bernie Sanders has extracted an enormous number of concessions from Joe Biden, and what's more, there are increasing signs that the popularity of the Squad and of other more populist, left-leaning, progressive, sometimes even socialist candidates, they are starting to wean in on the Democratic Party. The constant conflict between Pelosi and AOC, and the fact that at certain points Pelosi has had to defer public opinion to AOC in those respects, is an indication that within that party there is a real chance at these dinosaurs. I think the average age of the Democratic politician is like 71 or something. These dinosaurs being ousted. Now, mind you...
Now, the problem that Vaush is not realizing here is you're in the middle of an election. Politicians lie their ass off. Joe Biden can sit here and say, yeah, we're going to do something with the Green New Deal. Is he actually going to do it, though? Considering he's been in power in some form of power, for 49 years and hasn't done shit. This year it's going to be different, Vaush, right? This year he's going to go through and he's actually going to do what he said. He hadn't done it for 49 years before now, but this year it's going to be vastly different. Right, sure. Yeah, no problems. Totally believe you on that one, buddy. Now, at the end of the day, what I think is going to happen is basically what Joe Biden is doing at the moment. He's lying his ass off to win. And when he wins, he will go through and he will change his mind. He will change his views or whatever it may be to whatever Wall Street wants. And I think at the end of the day, what you guys are going to get isn't necessarily Joe Biden, what you're thinking it's going to be. It's going to be the Wall Street version of Joe Biden. He's just going to lie to you between now and then to get you to vote for him. I know it's a bit of a meme when we turn around and we say that Joe Biden is senile and they're going to try and use the 25th Amendment to get rid of him and stuff like that. And they probably will try. But at the end of the day, I don't think Joe Biden is as far gone as what people think they are, to the point where he is totally inept. I think at the end of the day, Joe Biden is having problems. Yes. But I think when Joe Biden, if takes office, and there's a big if on that, I think you're going to find that he is a lot more cognitive, whatever it is, than what we're expecting him to be. And I think he's going to be a lot more forceful in his own views once he has won, or if he wins the election. To me, what he's doing at the moment is playing it smart. He's playing it dumb. Yeah, we'll do something with the Green New Deal. Yeah. Gotcha, yeah, we'll do that. I can't do that. Wall Street won't allow him to do that. But yeah.
I am a socialist. I don't think AOC is radical enough, but I recognize that progressive change in a given direction is...
I don't think AOC is radical enough. The girl who wants to ban farting cows, planes, and whatnot is not radical enough to Vaush. Just highlighting that comment.
Preferable, especially when we recognize what we're gambling with here. Even if I were to believe that Donald Trump was some sort of anti-establishment bull, and I don't, consolidated heavy amounts of federal power, defunded institutions...
What does that mean?
Well, the constant use of executive action, the fact that he has normalized attacks on institutions which attack him, like, for example, his attempt to try and get the FBI director fired during the Russiagate investigation, or the constant attacks on the press and the media, or the fact that he seems to be contemptuous of the very idea of losing an election itself.
So he's consolidating federal power but trying to also fire the heads of these organizations, institutions?
Just laughing at that point because, yeah, like Vaush, like I said, Vaush is coming off as he's backpedaling. He's having to backpedal a few times.
I should be more specific. Executive power.
Wait, yeah, hang on. You're right. Sorry, executive power instead.
Yes.
Right, but
hasn't he been heavily constrained in every direction? He's been sued a million times.
Yeah, because he keeps breaking the law. He breaks the law constantly. No, he does. Yeah, he has engaged in scandal after scandal after scandal over the course of his presidency.
Just be specific.
With what? I mean, we could
name a scandal, name laws broken. Because we hear it a lot. I can tell you that. Does Trump use his authority and push really hard and then get challenged in the courts and lose sometimes and win sometimes?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. So we can talk about the administration. First of all, the Russiagate investigation led to literally dozens of credible indictments and arrests.
None of them are involved, and I could have swore I heard Tim's side there when he said that. None of them involve actually colluding with Russia. Every charge regarding Russiagate has been something unrelating to the Russia investigation. It's something they've found along the way. You lied to the FBI here, you lied to them there, whatever it was. Nothing involving colluding with Russia. And I could have swore I heard Tim sigh when he said that.
With regards to their misappropriation of funds or with their collaboration with foreign governments. We have the Ukraine scandal.
We have no collaboration proven by the Mueller report. Your own people said there was no collaborating with Russia or Ukraine.
Of course, with regards to him bartering aid with their willingness to help him.
That seems true now, though.
What do you mean?
That Joe Biden was using his son as an intermediary.
You still can't withhold aid on the condition that they release that information.
Well, so it's an argument about whether or not Trump had a right to withhold aid.
He did, that's illegal.
Joe Biden did it.
He did it. He literally did it. We have him on camera.
Joe Biden said,
so they're both
you
criminals.
won't get the money unless you do what I want.
Yeah,
so they're both criminals?
Wait, I'm not. Wait, I have never at any point in my life defended Joe Biden.
No. I know, but...
No, you're not defending Joe Biden here, Vaush. But you're voting for the guy. You're saying our guy is better than your guy, right? That's what you're saying. Vote Joe Biden over Trump because Trump is bad on all these levels. But then, hey, your own guy has done this as well. How do you vote for one and not the other? How do you sit there and criticize one but not the other? And we haven't even got to the part where Tim actually takes down Vaush that most left-wing sources aren't playing. But we'll keep going.
If we can make that argument, we could say then Joe Biden's doing the same thing.
Yeah, the difference is that Joe Biden wasn't the president of the United States of America when he did it. Yeah. I mean, if you want, you're free to investigate. You're free to investigate when you do this. What do you mean?
Like, why is like the media in its big?
What do you mean the media? Wait, this vague conspiracism.
Yeah, you guys are the media too.
No. The New York Times and the Wall Street Journal have both now written that there was a big effort to not cover the Biden scandal.
I would need.
I love that, right? Oh, this vague conspiracy. No, but the New York Post has literally written about this, and Vaush's response is going to be, I need to look into that. And this is where we're starting to come off as Vaush looking like he hasn't done his research. This is where Vaush gets off the talking points that he keeps hammering people with. And this is the problem with the left, right? They have certain talking points. You get them off these talking points, and all of a sudden, their arguments start falling.
To look into the specifics of it. Vague conspiracism.
Yeah, you guys are the media too.
No. The New York Times and the Wall Street Journal have both now written that there was a big effort to not cover the Biden scandal.
I would need to look into the specifics of it.
One
of the things that I don't...
I would need to look into the specifics of it. You don't know about this? You don't know about Hunter Biden's laptop at all? You haven't looked into it? It's the thing that's been going around on the internet for weeks. And you haven't looked into it. Are you for real? If there was a scandal involving the Trump administration, Tim, guarantee you, would be at least looking into it. You're claiming that Tim is a hyper-partisan who only attacks the left, right? That was your argument earlier in this video. But at the end of the day, you're the one who's not looking into things.
Like when we talk about like the badness of these characteristics is when we start playing defense for them on the assumption that the media is going after them or not going after them. The left-leaning media will go after left-leaning aims.
Yep.
Right-leaning media will go after right-leaning aims. There is no such thing as journal.
I agree with that. Left goes after the aims that suit the left. Right goes after the aims that suit the right. He is 100% accurate on that.
Journalistic integrity or objectivity. There are only people in power and money.
Well, the establishment media.
I don't know what the establishment
media
media
means.
So the New York
Times, for instance.
How is that just the... What about Fox News is the most viewed news station in the country. Tucker Carlson is the largest pundit. Talk show radio.
Do you know how many views Chris Cuomo and Rachel Maddow got combined?
I mean...
Like 8 million. And do you know Tucker Carlson got? In his average was 5. So if you're comparing...
He's peaked at tens of millions, hasn't he?
This is the part where Vaush doesn't know what he is talking about. Yet again, another instance where he's just factually inaccurate. He's peaked at 10 million. What at hosting what the Fox hosted a Trump rally and got that sort of views? Is that the argument, or the debate? Is that the argument? A once off where it might have happened. What's the average? The fact that you don't know this shows that you don't bother researching anything that's out of your own partisan bubble. This is where Vaush starts coming across. This is why I was in favour of him being on the Tim Pool show. Because at the end of the day, Tim is making Vaush look unprepared. Tim is making Vaush look like he doesn't know facts.
Hasn't he peaked recently? He got like his ratings hit like...
It's 5 million was like the historical record. He's like the most viewed.
My goodness.
Sorry. But when you combine CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, it's tenfold.
Because you're combining all of the left-wing media, and arguably some of these are barely left-leaning, with one partisan right media. If you take a look at all of talk radio, if you take a look at Fox News, if you take a look at OAN, for example,
OAN's viewership is like
it's not
low.
great, but it does have a lot of influence within the government because we know that Trump watches it, and Trump is himself a form of...
See the shifting goalposts that constantly has to happen? First of all, they start talking about viewers, right? And Tim's like, you compare the left-wing and media industrial complex to the right-wing media industrial complex. The numbers aren't even comparable. Then his argument is, okay, but what about we start taking in radio? So now all of a sudden we're shifting it from media industrial complex from TV to, oh, hang on, we're going to include radio now because we need to bolster up our numbers because you're making me look bad. And then after that, he then starts shifting it to, okay, but we're not going to talk about ratings so much anymore. Now we're going to talk about influence because Trump might watch OAN. But it's shifting from one goalpost to the other because his arguments are failing.
Media, when he talks about things with the broadcasts that he reflects essentially far-right partisan talking points. These are in many ways reflective of the political opinions that right-leaning people have forthcoming. We got off a little bit here. I want to talk
now he wants to get off the topic because he's realizing that he's digging himself into a hole.
Specifically, though, about Trump with regards to his practice in government.
Yeah.
Even if we're to leave aside the supported criminality of any candidate, because as far as I'm concerned, being the president is a crime. I'm not.
It's a weird job.
I'm really not in a position
I'm
to.
okay with the president, but
I'd like to have more people.
This is one of the things that I've said. Even if, because you don't want Bernie Sanders to win, my fellow lefties, whoever's watching, would be devastated to see what even a left-leaning person has to do to be and stay president in the United States, especially with regards to foreign policy. But if we want to look past that stuff, if we want to look at stuff like climate change, or if we want to look at stuff regarding like education, or if we want to look at stuff just regarding like the fundamental gentlemen's agreements that have operated in this country for centuries now.
Climate change is a far left ideology. So comparing that to what the right says is idiotic at best. Schools and education, your side is the one not allowing kids to go to school. It's the right who wants to send the kids to school. It's the left who's attacking Kamala Harris, and don't get me wrong, for valid reasons probably, attacking Kamala Harris because she sent a letter off to everybody telling kids they have to go to school. You're arguing about education is stupid at best. But regardless.
Now that seem to be unweaving. I don't think that the Trump presidency is anti-establishment. I think that he's very pro-corporate. I think he's very pro-government as long as it's his government. I think that his persistence...
That doesn't mean he is establishment, though. That's not what the establishment is, Vaush. The establishment is this industrial complex who goes through and bombs people, who takes out villages with bombs because they want to make more money. That's what that is all about. The fact that you don't know this is showing how unprepared you are when it comes to these debates.
Instant refusal to acknowledge that if he loses in the election, that he should actually step down peacefully.
Are you kidding? This is your argument? The left has gone through for 4 years and tried to impeach Trump because they had a hissy fit over them losing. And Trump's argument was that as long as it's fair, I'll step down. As long as there's no circumstances of voter fraud or anything like that. Oh my God, he wants a fair election. How dare he?
Is terrifying. And I think that while Joe Biden is a haughty institutionalist crony who probably has as many original thoughts in his head that weren't given to him by like focus groups as like your average chipmunk.
Yeah,
I think that he
fair.
is
That's mean to chipmunks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sure I've known
love
many
chipmunks.
wonderful
Chipmunk
chipmunks.
demographic.
I think that he is, at least with regards to climate change, which I think is a very simple, very, very easy thing to focus on, an objective improvement, and that he also allows for meaningful left-wing populism as opposed to what Trump is, which is a gateway to very, very bad far-right populism.
So that was the clip. And I wanted to highlight that because this argument that Vaush is bad for being on the show, or that Tim was bad for hosting Vaush on there. Vaush came across as not knowing what he wants to talk about, not knowing anything that's not in his own bubble or sphere. He doesn't seem to have any decent answers when it comes to some of these things that Tim's up. He constantly deflects, constantly moves goalposts. To me, this is the best argument you could have against Vaush, because it's making him look like he's just a person reciting his own echo chamber lines. And when you got him off those talking points and you started pushing back, he started fumbling around and started wanting to change the topic and talking about other things. Or just generally shifting the goalposts. So, to me, yeah, as I say, give Vaush these platforms. Give these people platforms so that you can actually see how bad they are. And to me, the Vaush has done nothing but damage his credibility. The left wants to sit there and bang the drum that Vaush was amazing. It's like, really? Did you see this clip in particular? Because Vaush came across as not knowing, and they further on, I'll just mute this ad. Further on, they talk about the Russia probe. Vaush has no idea about this stuff. You know, at the end of the day, they don't know that he starts. Oh, I'd have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into this. I'll have to look into that.
Obamagate.
Yes. You mean the thing where he spied on Trump?
So, like the meeting with Sally Yates and Comey and Biden and Obama, where Joe Biden suggested using the Logan Act against Michael Flynn to falsely prosecute him, where they then threatened his son with imprisonment unless he agreed to testify against Trump.
Okay. Did any of that actually happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to clarify,
How do you not know this happened, Vaush? Did any of that actually happen? Hang on. Aren't you a political correspondent? Aren't you someone who sits there and talks on YouTube about political matters? How did you not know this is you're the one that sits there and makes the argument that Donald Trump is bad, right? You think he would investigate these theories that someone spied on Trump's campaign? Right? If you want to debunk a claim by Trump, you have to investigate whether something actually happened or not. Did you not investigate this stuff?
though, the notes that were released in the investigation by the FBI show that there was a note scrawled that ascribed Logan Act to Joe Biden in a meeting with Sally Yates. Immediately afterwards, I think it was Sally Yates who then wrote an email to herself explaining everything that happened and sent it to her. And then several government employees in the FBI took out liability insurance, saying, I'm paraphrasing, that we're in serious trouble. We better buy insurance because we're going to get sued over this.
Okay. I can't speak to the specifics of this. I know that Trump has vaguely alluded at some sort of...
I can't speak to something that he can't talk about. Why? Because he did not look into it. Why? Because it goes against his agenda. And that's why I'm like, yes, let Vaush talk. Get him on these shows. Because when he sits there and says, I don't know about this, I can't help you, I can't talk about this because I don't know, he comes across as nothing more than a partisan. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't know this stuff. He's supposed to be debating this stuff. He's supposed to be able to debunk these theories. But at the end of the day, he can't seem to do the research into them. Why? Because they're against his own echo chamber.
Left conspiracy to deny him the presidency, which has always come off very
So the
fascist
notes are released.
to me.
The notes are released. Do you know about the Peter Strzok and Lisa Page things?
I have to say, and I apologize if this comes off like, I guess, disinterested, but having followed, I guess, the events leading up to, and I've explored this Obamagate thing pretty extensively, from what I've seen and from the media sources that I've looked at and the information, the analysis, I haven't seen anything that even remotely justifies the claims that Trump has made about this.
Do you know about the text messages between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok?
I don't know the specific.
So where he said...
He doesn't know about the text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. He doesn't know about the notes that have been released regarding it. But don't worry, everybody! He's investigated this thoroughly. He literally just tried to claim that, right? Let's back it up.
Explored this Obamagate thing pretty extensively. From what
I've explored this Obamagate thing pretty extensively, but I don't know about Lisa Page and Peter Strzok. I don't know about the notes regarding the meeting in the White House between Obama, Obama and Joe Biden and Sally Yates and all those sort of guys. So what exactly have you researched, Vaush? What exactly did you look into? Because apparently you looked into it pretty extensively, right?
What I've seen and from the media sources that I've looked at and the information, the analysis, I haven't seen anything that even remotely justifies the claims that Trump has made about this.
Do you know about the text messages between Lisa Page and Peter Strzok?
I don't know the specific.
So where he said, we're going to stop him, we have an insurance policy. This is all public information. I think the issue is when you talk about Russiagate and Trump's actions, it's coming from a place of you not actually looking at the evidence.
No, I assure you.
Oh, shit. He called it, though, did he not?
I have the issue is that...
Well, if you didn't know about the meeting with Comey and Yates and Obama and the Logan Act and what Michael Flynn was threatened with, and do you know about the ongoing court case where Judge Sullivan is blocking the government from dropping its own case?
No, I'm familiar with the things that you referred to here. The issue is that what usually happens with this is that there are a lot of nuances to these cases that need to be looked over thoroughly, and usually the way they're presented is extremely hyperbolic.
Like Russiagate.
Well, Russiagate Well, again, keep in mind, this is the big difference between right-leaning and the claims and Russiagate. Russiagate was investigated, dozens of indictments and arrests.
Nothing involving the involvement with Russia and the Trump campaign, though. Everything that was indicted for the Russiagate, every incident of that indictment was about other stuff. They lied because they got asked 400 times the same question and there was a slight variation. Or they lied regarding their income taxes. And back in 2008, which was like way before he was even involved in the Trump campaign. And the part, I think it was Manafort, that was, they had to go back to 2008 income taxes or something, where he did a little bit of money laundering. Which, don't get me wrong, is bad, yeah. But still had nothing to do with the Trump campaign and the Trump election.
These
Not
accusations...
related to Russiagate, though.
They were brought about by the investigation into Russia.
They were brought about because they investigated Russia and they ended up finding something that was not necessarily relating to the Russia itself. So, therefore, they were justified in it, right? I'm pretty sure if we went through the Obama campaign with a fine-tooth comb, we were able to find something that we could pin them on.
Involving the misappropriation of campaign
FBI
funds.
Lawyer who was recently indicted on altering evidence to frame Carter Page and get false FISA warrants to investigate in the Russiagate. So some of these may have been, maybe what's the saying? Fruit of the poison tree or whatever?
Fruit of the poison tree.
Fruit of the poison tree.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, a lot of the
for
Trump
instance,
administration has
Paul
found
Manafort.
themselves arrested.
Do you know how Paul Manafort ended up getting found out? It was actually Ukrainians colluding with the DNC operative and providing documents, which led to investigation of Manafort. So it was all overtly political actions.
There's nothing. Well, it's
Wait,
not.
wait.
There's nothing necessarily wrong with political actions. We're talking about the investigation of a political administration of the Trump administration.
It's okay for political actions for foreign correspondents to get involved in providing evidence and whatnot against a campaign, as long as it doesn't go towards my side of politics, is what Vaush is saying here. It's okay when the Ukrainians give us evidence against Paul Manafort, but God forbid they give us any evidence against Biden, and holy shit, we're going to raise holy hell. It's literally the argument he is making here. It's okay when you give us evidence against our opponents, but when it's for our team, you better hide that information there, bro.
The reason I bring this up is...
By the way, we've moved somewhat off of the electability or the electoralism argument here.
So here's the point. The way you framed everything
topics
about Trump and the actions and the things he was saying, firing Comey, sounds like Comey should have been fired based on the information that's come out since he fired him.
That is... wait, hold on. That is... First of all, even if that is the case, which I sincerely doubt it is, that is absolutely not why Trump claimed to. The evidence that was provided with regards to his attempt was he wanted Comey fired because Comey was looking into him. You can't post hoc justify an illegal act because it turns out later...
Trump tweeted way early, that he was being spied on by Obama.
He wasn't being spied on by Obama.
The
accusations
the FBI
that were
had informants that were going and having meetings with Trump's people and then spying on them.
That is what the FBI does.
So
the FBI was not spying on Trump. Next literal sentence. Yeah, but that's what the FBI does. The FBI goes and investigates people and spies on people. You're literally contradicting yourself in the same sentence here.
So you have people who were spying on Trump's campaign. It's a colloquial. I mean, if you want to argue semantics about the
No,
word
that's
spying,
the FBI does that for every campaign. That's their job.
So if you have, before Trump is inaugurated, a meeting with Obama, Yates, Comey, and then you have these notes, you have these text messages between FBI agents, and Trump knew about this, but it wasn't declassified, so Trump took action and fired the guy. I mean, it sounds justified.
Well, he didn't fire. He attempted to fire the guy, and he wasn't able to.
Comey?
It's always semantics with the left, isn't it? Trump was wrong to fire Comey. But at the end of the day, Comey did this and this and this and this wrong. So he deserved to be fired. But Trump didn't fire him in the end anyway. But you just made the argument that Trump was wrong to fire him in the first place. So Trump was wrong to fire Comey, but Trump didn't end up firing Comey anyway. So why was your argument originally that Trump was wrong to fire Comey? You're contradicting yourself between sentences here, dude.
Yeah,
we did fire Comey.
Well, no.
And then Comey was like, I have a great recollection. Trump said this to me, and I'm like, what?
No. The when he was being investigated for the Russiagate stuff. Oh my goodness.
Oh, there's a cat.
I think a cat just knocked
No, my
She
mic
did.
fell.
Oh, okay. Well, the cat ran afterwards.
Hold on, we gotta fix everything.
Well,
Anyway.
you keep talking.
Carry on, yes.
No, his efforts to fire. There was the intermediary who asked to fire the guy. I'm forgetting his name right now. The person who he attempted to fire, and he said no, and then Trump fired that guy. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that name?
Was that what was his name? Oh,
I
man.
can't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I can't remember that
Totally
name.
blank.
Sessions resigned.
No, yeah, Sessions right.
Look. I'm not bringing this up to be like everything.
I just feel
perfect.
but it's just it's interesting to me because again, it falls like on this vague conspiracism. Like with regards to
it's not vague. I mean, look, if you read the news on these things, you know what I'm talking
No,
about.
but I have. It's just a lot of these claims get jumbled up, and to be honest, I forget which narrative or which universe that I'm operating in at any given point.
There's one universe, dude. There's not multi-universes. What the fuck are you going on about? And at the end of the day, you haven't read these information. You haven't read these papers. You haven't read the information on these theories. Because if you had, you would have known about this stuff. And as I've shown throughout this whole video, you don't know about this stuff. Why? Because it's against your ideology beliefs. Because you're stuck in an echo chamber. And because at the end of the day, you don't believe or you don't want to research anything that can be against your own ideas. Why? Because you get triggered, most likely. You're too afraid to look outside the bubble that you live in because God forbid you actually find something that backs up Trump is right. Because you have this derangement syndrome where you literally think that Trump is bad and Orange Man bad and everything does is Trump is wrong. God forbid anybody provide any evidence to counter that narrative. But regardless, that's probably where we're going to leave it, guys. This video is going for an hour, so we're almost an hour, so you probably should wrap it up here. But like I say, this whole video, this whole 30-minute, and I've watched it twice now, Vaush just comes off as uneducated, not knowing what he's talking about. He comes across as someone who doesn't know some of the talking points that have been talked on both sides of politics. He seems to have just stuck to his own ideology echo chamber. And he comes across as not knowing the basic facts in regards to some of this stuff. He doesn't know about the meeting. He doesn't know about the people, the Peter Strutt and the Lisa Page text messages. He doesn't know about the law, the FBI, the court that's upholding. Like there's a lot here he doesn't know about. All he knows is Orange Man is bad. And that's because that's what comes out of his echo chamber. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack that like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, we'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. But probably another video later today. We'll probably cover some news. If not, I'll be uploading that video regarding my experience with a de-googled phone. I still have the video. I'm actually looking at ways of trying to get it so that I can actually show you what it looks like on the screen. But yeah. Apart from that, have a great night and enjoy, guys.